Beautiful people, today we are blessed to have Asma Elbadawi in the Flower Factory. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. How can I describe, in the short time that I know Asma, I don't really know her, but I was just talking to her and telling her I didn't actually have conversations with you because I don't want to ask a lot, because I would love to do a podcast, and then I asked you, you said yes, let's do it. And then it would be weird to have like a casual podcast about the things that I already know about her. So I also don't have a plan, and I also didn't talk a lot with Asma. So today I'm actually getting to know, and I'm going to figure out and pick her brain about certain things. But to summarize Asma, like in my head, she's an artist, a poet, a basketball player, and a photographer. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not from Maastricht, she's not from the Netherlands. I don't know how she ended up here. No, I actually know. She's doing an artist in residency here at the Jan van Eyck Academy for a year, if I'm not mistaken.
11 months.
11 months now. And Lorenzo, a friend of mine who's sitting there, you don't see him, he told me like, hey Sam, there's this girl, super interesting what she does, maybe it's cool to like meet up. And then one day you guys came here, we had lunch, and I think you beat Lorenzo's ass with basketball, yeah, some stuff like that.
He's not going to admit that, but yeah, that's what happened.
He will eventually, that's what happened, that's important. And now we're sitting here and doing a podcast. I don't know if that I'm still practicing. I don't know if that introduces you well. Like,
I think for me, like, it doesn't matter really what the labels are.
Nice.
Because I think
Nice.
I'm, like, the story that we've shared together, people will get to know a little bit more about me.
Yeah, nice. I really like that, because you can imagine I'm here. This morning I had an architect here, an older friend, and he was like, I heard about this so many times, but like, can you explain? I cannot explain. You have to come here and you have to see, and then maybe you have some questions, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm also doing this here, and we're also going to cook, and then you feel it, or it's also possible that you don't understand it, but I'm good with that. But like, let time pass and maybe you will understand because of frequency, right? Of communication, of questions, whatever. You're originally from Sudan. Were you born there? Did you grow up in the UK? Were you born in the UK?
So I was born in Sudan, moved to the UK when I was about 1 year and 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And then I mostly spent the majority of my life in the UK.
Okay, nice. Yeah, 1 year and 3 months. Are you alone, or do you have siblings?
So I have a brother and my mom and dad, so we were always kind of like there as a unit forever.
The same with me. I was like 7, almost 8 when we came to the Netherlands as a unit, exactly. Mom, dad, older brother, who is not here. He's at the pizzeria taking care of renovations, and me. But of course, I lived like for 7 years in Iran, so I remember some stuff. But of course, 1 year you don't remember anything. Did you go back? Have you been back?
So like all my memories of Sudan are actually after the age of 11.
Okay.
Because that's when we started going every single year. My mom was super like interested in me and my brother knowing where we come from, but also she also missed her family, so she wanted to go back often. And I think like the first few times I went, it was always about my mom and my dad's families and being around them.
I recognize that.
Yeah, but then later it became about like my own friends and my own favorite cousins and like exploring and finding like the basketball spaces and the art spaces, and then just kind of like immersing myself in there. Yeah.
Cool. How often have you been back to Sudan?
So many times.
Almost every year or twice?
Almost every year,
oh, wow.
At least every 2 years.
Oh wow! So exactly what you're saying, like the beginning, like when you went to initially how you went to Sudan. This is how I went to Iran for 4 times. Like always going there, and then grandma, grandpa. And when you have a bigger family in our cultures, I guess, or where we are from, we have bigger families, or maybe that's an illusion. But like, you go to that uncle, then you have to go to other 4 uncles, and then you go to that aunt, and then there are 5 other aunts, and then this cousin. I've never seen Tehran actually through my own eyes. Like,
oh wow!
I even went skateboarding there with some local guys, but like, I didn't go for a day and just cruise the streets and had like I don't know, ice cream with like friends or whatever. It was always with family, going to the park with family here. So I didn't experience that, but it sounds so familiar.
It's such a different level when it's
Yeah.
me and my friends.
Yeah, of course.
And I felt like it was always like a thing because we came from the UK. We were expected to be friends with everybody, the whole entire family. And then I realized like some of my cousins don't get along, and that's fine, you know.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Why should you be friends with the whole family? Because you're because you live in the UK.
Yeah, it always felt like we had to be extra polite, extra nice, extra everything. And I
doesn't
think
make sense. But I get the point. Yeah.
The family is nice, but sometimes you just don't click with people.
Of course, that's normal. Yeah. Okay. Wow. All right. We fast forward a while. You're going through the education system, like elementary school, high school, whatever, university, and you're carving your own path. We can talk here for hours because there are so many things because we don't know each other. But I want to get to golden nuggets for myself, very individualistically, but also to share it with whoever wants to watch. And you figure out, I guess, about your creative side, or was that there for a longer time? If you look like in retrospect.
In retrospect, a lot of that stuff existed.
Okay.
Like for me, like with the poetry especially, it was kind of like we did it in school when I was 8 years old. I absolutely loved it. And then it became something that I just did all the time.
Oh, so
but
nice.
like I didn't share it with anyone for many, many, many years. And then the sports, I was already in the school clubs, and I was like spending so much time after school playing sports. And then
also basketball, Asma? You were
No.
already playing basketball? What sports were you doing?
I played everything.
Okay.
Everything.
Whatever.
Whatever, like I did jiu-jitsu, I did rugby, I did football, I literally, whatever they had, I did. Like volleyball, netball, everything.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah.
And what did your friends around you think about that?
A lot of my friends around me were very similar to me.
Okay, nice, easy.
So, yeah, and on our street, we spent so much time just playing outside.
Yeah. This is so familiar. You almost don't see it anymore. You don't hear like screaming kids outside because they're playing ball and somebody's cheating in the game, or the ball coming over the fence in people's garden and having a problem with a grandma in the neighborhood or something, you know. You don't hear this anymore, but like this was the only thing we did back in the days. You wanted to do something, you cycled to a friend's door like for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. This is the Netherlands, so we cycle everywhere.
Yeah.
You knocked on his door and you said, sorry, Mrs. ABC, is he here? Oh no, and then you cycle back, you go into another friend. The whole day was outside as soon as we were out of school. I feel kind of bad like for the, I don't know, it shifts, but I feel kind of bad that they don't have this physical joy or something, the youth right now. I don't know.
I think for me, the street was like the best place. Like we climbed trees, we fell on the floor, we had like fights, and because our community was so diverse, like other people brought their own games from their own backgrounds.
Yeah, this is so cool.
So we had there was a game called Pittu that was like from the Bangladeshi community. Pittu.
Okay. Pittu.
So they would stack like lots of rocks.
Yeah.
And then you'd get like a tennis ball, and then you were in two teams, and you'd have to like break the tennis ball. Use the tennis ball to break the stones. But then you had to put them back up. And while you're putting them back up, the other team could hit you with the ball and you were out.
Then you're out, yeah.
But it was like, this was like the highlight.
The game, I know so many guys. I used to be in refugee camps, and we were a lot with Somalian. I told you also there was a Sudanese man. I hope he's doing good, Abu Bakr. Iraqi guys, Somalian, Afghanian. So they had different games I've never seen, and it was so much fun because we were quite blessed with our refugee camp. We had a basketball field, we had a soccer field, a tennis field. That was crazy. That was a holiday park, and the owner wanted to make a refugee camp.
Oh, wow.
But we didn't tend to those games. We were playing soccer though. We were playing on these, we were playing these games I've never, like no one ever did. Like all different games from different ethnicities, and that was so interesting. A lot of playing with marbles.
Yeah.
So crazy, but like different way because of the Afghanian guys. But anyway, yeah, that was so nice. Okay, this neighborhood that you were living in, it's in what city?
So it was in Bradford.
Bradford.
Yeah.
Was very multicultural?
Yeah, but we moved around a lot initially. So it was kind of like, first we lived in a very English area that was kind of like slightly on the outskirts. that was a completely different experience.
Yeah, of course.
And then we kind of moved again closer to there, and then eventually, you know, we ended up in this.
Nice.
Basically, it was a council estate.
What
So
does that mean, council estate?
council estate is kind of like government kind of housing
Yeah,
that are like
yeah.
a cheaper
Yeah,
price for
yeah,
rent and stuff.
yeah.
So the people there weren't rich, you know.
Yeah,
We were all
yeah.
sort of like struggling, or
Yeah.
some people were just like students or whatever. So we
Yeah.
were all kind of in this space.
Yeah.
And everyone who looked in kind of just assumed it was just like, you know, because you did have like the drug dealers on the street and you had
Yeah.
all this stuff, but then they looked out for us kids.
Yeah. Like, I get goosebumps of this. This is like the decor. Like, it's a dangerous place that is not dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, if I look in hindsight, in retrospect, I'm like, I feel very blessed that I went to 7 years of refugee camps. I went to different kind of neighborhoods. You can always compare something to something that is worse. So when I'm thinking, I'm like, did I have water? Did I have this? I even had a PlayStation. Like, there was not the ghetto, or was not that bad, or whatever, you know? But like, it made me who I am. So I would never want to, you cannot change things, of course, but I would never even want to change it because it really makes you.
Yeah, I wouldn't change
Yeah,
that.
right?
Because we
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you want something else, like, for your kid, if you want kids? Like, of course, sorry, I'm always going into these rabbit holes, but I'm really curious. Like, you witness some things in life, and then you're like, but I don't want that for my kids. But that's what gained you that perspective. Are you sure you don't want that for your kids? Like,
so the things that I wouldn't want for my kids are more to do with other people's influence on my kids.
Nice.
Because I think like when I grew up, like the school that I went to was a very faith school, Muslim girls school. It was kind of like very strict Islam.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like they tried to mold you into a perfect Muslim woman.
Okay.
And where I'm from, and like my family weren't like that.
Okay, nice.
We were like, you like art, play art. You like sports, you play sports.
Yeah.
You doing those things doesn't make you less of a Muslim.
Nice.
And on top of that, also like I still love the Quran. I still read the Quran, you know.
It can go hand in hand.
Right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like I had to stay in the house all day and read Quran and like hide under a blanket and no one sees me and I don't see anyone.
The reason why I say nice is not like, oh yeah, you were not typical Muslim or whatever. I also grew up, I'm from the Islamic Republic of Iran. That's the only Islamic Republic I think there is in the world, whatever that means. But like, it's nice when you have parents like that, or when you have people around you growing up that give you that possibility to, oh, you want to do skateboarding? We just came out of the refugee camps. I can break a leg, you know? It has been such a hard time to get your kids through that. And then now your kid wants to break dance and do backflips and skateboard, you know? But you let them go. I find that very heroic, and that's so good for the education and like, how do you say that? Like how your kids grow up. They learn a lot. And that's good to have possibilities to be able to do this and this and that. We talk a lot right now, especially in society, this or this.
Yeah,
that
I've
or
noticed
that.
that a
Why?
lot.
I have the same thing with here. Why should this only be a studio? Why should this be only an office? It could be this, and that. Anyway, cool. You went to, I don't know how the schooling system works in the UK, but elementary school, college, or high school?
High school, then.
And then university.
Yeah. Well, no, there's like two years in between and then university.
What is this 2 years in between?
It's called A-levels.
A-levels. Then you already like do something specific?
Yeah,
You
so
choose
in
your
those 2 years,
subjects?
you basically take like 3 or 4 subjects.
Oh, okay,
And
nice.
these subjects you apply to university with it.
Okay, nice. What subjects did you choose back then?
So I actually chose sociology, psychology, textiles,
Oh, nice.
and art.
Already in that direction where you are right now, right?
Yeah.
Nice. And how did that influence your time in university? What did you do in university after that? If you went to university, I don't know.
So I thought I was going to do fashion. Like I was like, yep, going to do
Sure,
fashion.
this is it.
Yeah. But initially before that, I thought I was going to do architecture. And I remember like I actually was like, it was the night before and I was about to apply and everything. And my mom was actually in Sudan. So I sat my dad down and I told him,
No.
I was like, listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. Maths is
so
not my
nice.
thing. I don't like maths. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I had the subjects for it, even though I took an extra class that was just maths, like, but I was just like, I'm not, you know.
So
and
nice.
then he told me, okay, let's sit down and have a look at what options there are,
So
because he felt like fashion would have been very restrictive for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up applying to like art and design courses.
Nice.
And then I applied for 2 as well, like fashion, just in case, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Nice. How was that? Did you like it, or were you like, oh, okay, fashion is not my thing, not my thing in the way that I want to create garments or create clothing?
So with me, I just knew that I liked clothes and textiles, and I
Yeah.
expressed myself a lot through clothes.
Yeah.
I was wearing like tracksuits in the hood, you know,
Yeah,
like
cool.
my whole life. But then when it was time to like, you know, go to her wedding, I was like in that big dress, you know, and I'm like dancing and having like
Nice.
the best time ever.
Nice.
So I liked the fact that you could change your aura
Yeah.
and
that's
yourself with clothes.
Yeah.
But I didn't end up studying fashion. I actually
Nice.
I applied to basically like universities in London, and then I also applied to a university in Sunderland that was like really far up.
This is
it
still
was in
UK.
the UK,
Yeah.
but it's like near Newcastle.
Okay.
And I remember like I initially went to a couple of other interviews, and I was just like, okay. But then when I went to the interview in Sunderland, it's basically like a Maastricht, but in the UK.
Okay, nice.
And then as soon as I was there and I went through the interview process, I was like, this is where I need to be.
Nice.
And it was because I felt like this professor was actually interested in me as a person.
Yeah, he understands you as well. Like, yeah. Involved. Nice. And how many years did you study there, and what did you do exactly?
So I studied for 4 years.
Okay.
The first year was basically, they called it level 0 for us. So
It's
it was
a bachelor?
the level 0 was basically like a foundation year.
Okay.
But it was fun. Like we did like illustration, we did video.
Oh, you can do many things, right? It's not super specific.
So every 2 weeks you like switched.
Okay.
And
wow.
the point of it was that you try everything, so that when you specialize in your art thing, you already tried everything else.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So I ended up going into photography, but I didn't want to go into photography.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of like we had a week for photography.
Yeah.
They gave us like these disposable cameras. I went out, I took pictures. I literally took the most normal pictures in the whole entire world with my hijab and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and then the next day they like developed all the pictures, and we just sat down and I had a conversation. And I remember the professor for the photography department, she literally she pulled me to the side and she told me, I want you to work under me for the next 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I really want to I really want to develop you. And I was like, yeah. I told my parents I want to do fashion.
So how are we going to fix this?
Yeah. So we ended up having like conversations for like 3 months basically.
Oh, wow.
Going back and forth.
With whom were you having conversations?
With all my professors.
Okay.
And they were like, look, we really think that's for
wow.
you. And I was just like, no, it's not. And then eventually what convinced me was the professor that initially got me, excited about art.
Photography.
He was like, you can say so much more with
Nice.
photography. And then I thought, okay.
We can combine the worlds.
Yeah.
Whatever I want.
That's what I ended up doing. Like the last 3 months was me exploring, but I never just did photography, as in my brain couldn't just take a picture and stick it on a wall.
Yeah.
Like I was doing
really
projects where it was like, I think we had one project that was about layering.
Okay.
And I took a picture, and then I was at a protest, so I took another picture of my friend, cut her out, put her on this sticker with these other people, took that whole thing, put it on a tin, took the tin, put it in a fridge, and then it was kind of like this thing, and the whole point of the thing was to kind of protest in your fridge, to kind of say, do you know where you're buying your things from? And when I presented it, it was like a fridge, and people had to kind of like open the fridge, and then they'd see my images.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
What was the protest about?
It was actually around Palestine.
Okay, yeah.
At the time, it was like about 10 years ago. So yeah.
Let's just say lightly, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of struggles and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. At this moment, when you're like in between photography, fashion, my parents, professors, what's going on, Asma, the voice in your head, like you're playing basketball?
No.
Not yet.
So I was playing netball up until that point. So I was like always playing netball. Those 2 years of university, actually I tried to join the netball team, but they put me as a wing defense or a wing attack, but I play goal attack.
Okay.
And goal attack is like the shooter. Yeah, so I was like, I'm either the shooter or the center.
The shooter.
Yeah, like, and you're putting me like this side chick, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm the shooter.
So 2 years I didn't play any sports at all.
Oh, wow.
And then I realized, but also on top of that, I always felt like I was allowed to play sports because I was in an all-female environment.
Yeah.
And I thought that was why my parents encouraged it more and more.
Yeah.
And I felt like I'm at an age where I shouldn't just be like, you know, just out there, you know?
I respect that a lot.
But at the same time, I never had a conversation with my parents to clarify that that's how they actually thought.
I know how that goes. I know how that goes.
and my mom, like a lot of people don't probably know this, but like my mom actually, she covers her face. So she's very conservative. Yeah. And I grew up in a very conservative house. So like when people find out this, they're kind of like, what? She let you do all these things? And I'm like, she didn't let me. She encouraged me. Like there's a difference, you know?
That's like you sorry, but you talk about it very lightly, but that's like years, years go over that. A lot of conversations, a lot of neglecting each other, having conversations, or that's so big.
Yeah.
There are so many taboos. There are so many lives some of us live, like inside, at school, with friends, with different groups of friends from different ethnicities. Sometimes we are split into like 3, not even 2, like 3, 4, 5 different kind of people until a certain age.
Right.
And this is what I love. You get to the certain age and you're like, sorry, motherfuckers, this is who the fuck I am. Like you accept it or you don't. You don't talk to your parents like that, but like you show them that you're secure about this thing that you're doing. And what I've witnessed with my friends or with me is that they really support you. They're like, okay, you're really serious about this. Okay, go. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And then I think the exponential growth comes after that because you're really feeling good. Before it is as if you're sitting in this car and you still have the handbrake a bit on, right? You're like, you want to go, but like, fuck, if I just could put the handbrake down. But you can't put it down by having conversation and really speaking out that we have this earthly experience here, this one life, whatever, that's what I believe in. And like, let me just go for this, man. Let me put the handbrake down, mom, or dad, come on, or your partner or your brother. Usually the people around you, it could be tough. They could be holding you down because they want the best for you, but it's their perspective.
Right.
They should ask, like, hey, what do you think? What do you feel? What makes you happy? What is good long term? Did you ask me that? No, you just put that on top of me. Oh, you just put that on me. And I know how hard this can be. And I'm not a woman in hijab from my culture. So for me, it's easy to talk about it. I can imagine for a bit how. That's why I have so much respect. This is so crazy.
Yeah, for me, it was those conversations. But my mom didn't. My mom and dad, they encouraged these conversations when we were little. Like they would ask us the randomest things, like things you don't even ask kids. Like, we're gonna buy a house. What do you think? And, and me and my brother, like, you know.
Asma, they grew up in the UK.
My mom and dad.
Born? Yeah, your mom.
No. So my mom and dad were. Like both my parents, we're from a village in Sudan. Like we're not even from like a city. We're from like Al Jazeera, and it's like, you know, like to get there, you're going like in a car through like some random places. Yeah, and it's like bumpy roads and.
How come they think like that? What is your opinion on the fact that why do they think like that? The way they think. Why do they have their perspective? Because of the job? Because of their parents? Because of immigration? Why are they asking you, if you're buying a house, what do you think of that? Or you can do that, just go for that. Or arts, or like, what do you think?
I honestly think that because they loved us. And then, like, that's the only, like, I know a lot of people say, like, their parents love them and everything. But they genuinely put our happiness before a lot of their expectations. Not in everything, there was some, obviously, there's times where you don't agree with your parents and it's heated. But the main things, it was kind of like they just felt like it was more important for us to be happy. Like my mom initially did not want me to study photography. Like for her, it was like, she was still of the belief that like it's not halal. We're not sure about the kind of jurisdictions around that. But then what I ended up doing was giving her a camera. Telling her to take pictures in Sudan, telling her I'm creating stories about my country. I created books about Sudan. I every year I'd go and I'd take photos and whatever. Cool, and then I kind of showed her like, this is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, check that from my perspective.
Yeah. Then she realized I'm not trying to be Western, or I'm not trying to be, you know, I know who I am. And those are the stories I'm always going to share. Like, you're not going to find me in some random place taking pictures of nude people
folk,
or whatever. You know?
Whatever cover of or whatever. All respect for folk, but like.
But I also, because the village that they were from, when they were growing up, didn't have a school. Like, so both my parents went to boarding schools. And boarding schools back then, it wasn't like, oh, only rich people went or whatever. It was just kind of like, you just all went, you know? And so they went. Boarded like most of their life, so they have some kind of independence. And I think my mom's dad also asked her, you know, when she reached a certain age, like, do you want to get married or do you want to continue studies? And she's actually the first one from all her sisters who actually continued her studies.
Wow.
So
that must have been tough as well. That's another story. Wow.
And then my dad I found out a lot of stuff about my dad after, you know, about how he is as a person, how independent he's always been. But I just thought he was quiet a lot of the time until I started poking him.
True wisdom is quiet. Okay, Asma, we fast forward. I would love to, as you see, I don't even know if you have enough battery of Dan, SD, whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. I just have a conversation. There are 3 cameras pointing at us. But like, we fast forward. And then I was just charging your phone and I see a billboard of you on 30, I guess it's 30 stories high. Yes, 30 stories high, like marketing canvas, or how you call it, somewhere on a building, on a skyscraper. Like, what happened in between photography, the 3 months with the professors, conversations about fashion, and like, you're not even playing that much basketball, to like being first of all, Adidas ambassador. How did that happen? How did that journey go?
So that was kind of when after the first 2 years, I actually started playing basketball. So I joined the basketball team for the university and I was like constantly playing. But then a lot of the stories that I was telling as a photographer was me trying to like basically take images of myself that was kind of like a cross between all these different things. Like, I'm an athlete, I'm Muslim, I'm this, I'm that. And I was like trying to create layers and layers and layers with my imagery. And I got really into like self-portraiture. And I really enjoyed that and I loved that. But then when I had a conversation with my dad, he was like, I love that you play basketball. I think you need to do more with it. Oh, nice. I think you need to encourage other women and do all this stuff. So nice. I was like, yeah, okay. But
I'm doing this for myself and I think it's cool. That's it.
And that's what I actually thought. But then I found myself anyway, as a photographer, as an athlete, leaning towards taking imagery of women and women in sports in particular. And then I think there was one project that we had to do, and it was actually like a pretend commission.
Pretend commission.
Okay. So it was like, we've been commissioned by this company, blah, blah, blah. So I chose the Olympics. And I remember taking these pictures, and it's really weird because I took these pictures and it was stuff like, I had me on one of them and then I had like other girls on different things, and each one had a different like message. And then mine said, show them how brave you are.
Nice. Sick.
And then I didn't think anything of it, but I was like, I wanted to create role models for girls in the future, or girls in general from different backgrounds. And so anyway, that happened. I continued playing sports. I did my coaching qualifications. I started like playing more in the community, but not using social media. Like, it wasn't about social media. It was kind of like, we're playing, we're going. I'm coaching in Tanzania, I'm coaching in Sudan, I'm coaching, like when I popped to Malaysia.
This is from UK, sorry to interrupt. This is, you were, you studied or you got the certificate to coach in the UK, and then you went to Sudan, Tanzania, to different places.
So I would literally.
This was not from Sudan, like.
No.
Okay.
So I would literally volunteer.
Nice.
To, like, or I'd be already on holiday, and then someone will be like, "Oh, do you want to coach us?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And then I would literally end up having like a full team of girls that come every like Wednesday or whatever. And it was just, it was fun, and like I didn't really share about that stuff, but then word started to like kind of develop and stuff, and at the same time I started doing poetry. Yeah. And I won like this competition like really early on in my like poetry career when I started sharing. So then it became, okay, how do we market Asma? Yeah. You know, and then I ended up having a really, really, really good like mentor, and she was like, poetry, basketball. Done. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, you like that's your thing. Yeah. So I ended up writing a lot, doing a lot of stuff, ended up being on this campaign that I got invited to be part of that was called FIBA La Hijab. And
from what campaign, what company?
So it was FIBA, so it's like the Federation for Basketball.
Yeah, sorry.
We found out basically that because I didn't play like high professional stuff, so a lot of the rules just didn't apply to us. We just did our own thing. But like it turned out that there was an official ban. So if I was representing the UK and I was traveling to play in a different country, I wouldn't have been allowed to play. Oh wow! Because it's the rule was anything over 5 centimeters. As headgear was not allowed. Oh wow! And so I found out about this through a conversation. These are the things you don't even think about. I don't even think about. Sorry. I didn't even think about it. But then I found out. They asked me if I wanted to join the campaign, and I was like, "Of course I do." And because I think that moment, like, was like a moment for me. It was kind of like, oh, so I thought that I didn't see Muslim girls on the TV because they were Muslim and they weren't allowed to play, but it actually turns out you have bans on most sports had bans. So all these sports had bans on headgear, and that's actually why. Oh wow! And because of that, I was like, okay, I have to be part of this because we need to see younger girls who are in hijab, and it's not even about the hijab. And I always like tell people it's not about the hijab; it's about the choice. Yeah. So if I come and I want to wear, like, obviously as long as it's safe, because I wouldn't recommend someone in a big dress, you know, to play. I get it. But if you can keep it safe, play. But then also create spaces where if it's just for fun, the girls can just go play for fun. And they don't have men like staring through the windows. Yeah, exactly. Whatever. It doesn't always have to be on a professional level or, So that's kind of like... a competitive level at a professional level. Yeah. So I think after that, like I started working more on my social media. I started building my profile a lot more. I saw that. Yeah. And then the brand started to like appear. I think Adidas approached me when I was on like 10,000, I think. Or no, even 8, I think. But when they approached me, it was funny because I posted something where I had a picture of me and there was like smoke coming out of my mouth, and I had an Adidas shirt on and stuff, and I went to sleep, and it was a mental health thing. It was like because I used a line from one of my poems that was something to do with as if like in our body someone is living inside, and because they're living inside there's a fireplace happening, so the fireplace is kind of like letting the smoke out. But anyway, I had this crazy idea. I did it, I posted it, and I fell asleep and I woke up and I thought they were gonna tell me to take it down. So when the request came in, it was like, I was
is this real? Is this legit?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, they're going to tell me to, like, so then I clicked and it was completely different. It was like, hey, you know, we're sorry to contact you in this way, but like, you know, we want to get in touch about something. Sick. And I was like, okay. Yeah, cool. And then that's kind of like the end of it, you know, that was like 4 years ago or something. Oh, wow. This happened, before this moment happened, you put a lot of poetry and photography and different things on your social media, right? You communicated like how you were thinking, what you were standing for, your poetry. You were already doing this, I guess, right? Yeah. It was not like you did 3 posts in those years, no, right? You did a lot of... I did a lot of stuff, but when I look back, there was a period where it was like most of the time it was other people taking photos of me. So it was other people's versions of me. Yeah. Like, and it wasn't actually until I came to Maastricht, and just before I came to Maastricht, that I started to own my own story way more. So
Nice,
I would commission
nice.
a photographer to
Oh,
take
nice.
pictures that I want to be taken.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and
I know
that's
that,
how,
yeah.
like, if you see the picture, I'm in a dress. I'm like the only one in a dress in that campaign, you know?
I saw that.
And I was
so
like,
cool.
yeah. And I
so
was
cool.
like, I want to be in a dress.
That's so cool, because I was talking with a friend this morning. I was video calling, who recently lives in Dubai. I think he saw it in Dubai. He's like, I told you the story, so now I'm telling again, pretending like I didn't tell this. You know, this is weird when you already know stuff. But anyway, you guys don't know it. And this friend, Marcel, said like, hey, that's crazy. I saw a huge banner of this woman playing basketball in hijab and in this dress. And I don't know if that, I think it was this one that you're saying. Or it was the tall one that is on your screen. I don't know which one it was. And he's like, and then I opened my Instagram, and then she was throwing hoops here. Like, what's going on? Like, what is going on with Masif? I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, people find their ways. You find whatever you look for.
Right.
I guess, yeah. Or it comes in your way to figure out something, or to tell
That
you
shoot was
something.
actually shot in Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
So it became a global, it was a global one. So like Dubai made the biggest billboard.
Yeah, of
But
course, everything.
The
big is in
advantage
Dubai.
that I had was that Pogba was on it before me.
Oh, wow. That's
So
crazy.
I was like, Pogba was there, now I'm there. And apparently it was the first Muslim woman billboard with a hijab and everything that was that big and
Boom.
yeah. So people were asking questions. Like I had parents contact me and being like, our daughters were asking who's the princess on the billboard. And I was like,
Hey,
tell
this-
them
yeah,
the princess is a basketballer and a
this
princess.
and like that and like
You know?
that. Yeah, exactly.
But because obviously they had their own message behind
Yeah.
their campaign and everything. But for me, it was...
What was the message for them? Like, be yourself, whoever you are, you can communicate that you can
impossible
be.
is nothing.
Yeah, impossible is nothing. Yeah.
But for me, it was
Impossible.
deeper.
That's not even impossible, guys. Come
Yeah.
on. Like, come on, man.
For me, it was much bigger.
Deeper, yeah.
Because for me, the dress was... There's a 3-year-old girl who's going to see it. There's a 10-year-old girl who's going to see it. There's a 30-year-old woman who's going to see it. A 50-year-old woman is going to see it. And we have all been built in this way, or conditioned to think that sporty is a thing.
Yeah.
So you're either sporty or you're not.
Yeah.
You're
You're this
either
or you're that. Yeah.
into makeup or not. You're into fashion or not. And all these things that are typically female traits.
Yeah.
They're kind of seen as okay, if you're into these things, you can't be sporty.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
But for me, I was like, but what if I want to
And then I also want to be this, and I am this, and I am that, and I am that. Why not?
Yeah.
Nice. Of course, I get that message. Impossible is nothing. You did, how many campaigns did you do with Adidas? Like global campaigns? I think I saw 2 or 3, huh?
Yeah, I've done quite a few.
Okay.
I've done some local ones, and I've done some that are
Local ones is only the UK, probably.
Yeah. But then some are local just to Dubai. I think the one you're talking about is the skyscraper one.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that was local to Dubai. But that was so fun. That was I was on a skyscraper. There was a helicopter. It was
yeah, that's
mad.
weird. And then I saw another basketball field or something. Not something. I saw a basketball field, I think, with your silhouette on the floor somewhere with paint.
So that was the
you
Dubai
forgot
one.
this one.
No, that's the
that
Dubai
happened
one.
in that corner.
Yeah,
that was also Dubai.
Yeah,
of course.
So that was built on, that court was built on top of a skyscraper.
Nuts.
And then I got to play on there.
Crazy. So they fly you in and you do that and you have fun and then you go back to the normal life again. And you
And I think for a lot of people, it's strange.
Yeah, but it's so normal. You want to
For
say
me,
that?
it was
that is
strange at
normal?
times.
Yeah.
For me, it was a strange at times. I've learned so much over the God knows how many years, and I think a lot of it is thanks to Adidas in a way, because they put me in spaces that I genuinely was not ready to be in. You know, I'm sort of with that shoot. I'm just explaining that one because it's the like last one, but it was 100 crew, you know, and I'm and it's me, and everyone's looking, and I'm the one shooting and stuff.
Wow.
But I was pushed into a lot of campaigns like that, from the get-go with them.
Oh, wow.
And the person that I am now compared to the person that I was is completely different. For me,
in what way?
There's people here, but I don't know they're here.
Yeah. You get used to it. This is a bubble. Yeah, this becomes like a universe. I know exactly. Yeah, you get used to it.
And I can step in and step out, but I can also say if something I don't agree with.
Yeah, this is very important. when you get to a certain age, whatever life cycles, life experience, you're like, nah. We're going to do it like this. I'm going to do it like that. You know, you have a self-worth, but then you really know what your self-worth is and where that line is.
Yeah.
And usually when you're younger, I want to say, but I don't know if it necessarily has to do with age, you step over this line and you say yes to everything, and then at some point it's really nice to say no. And I had a very big problem saying no, because I had the feeling that everybody has to think that you're kind and everything, like I have to be cool with everyone. And now I want to have a lot of troubles with a lot of people as possible, because then I know for sure that I'm doing the right thing for myself, because I have to say no, it's not possible, I can't, and somebody hates on this, yeah, I don't even want to go there. But you have had a lot of, I think you will still get like random DMs from people not liking what you do or hating or whatever, most probably, I'm assuming. But like, we cannot go in there, man. Like, you stay in your lane, you do whatever you love, and if somebody doesn't like it, yeah, I feel bad for them.
I feel like for us, like people, because I've seen what you have here, right? And like what you're building and what you're doing. It like half the time we don't know where we're heading to.
Yeah.
But we just know this is the thing that we love, and we're doing it. And we're doing it over and over again, and we're doing it not like in one way, we're doing it in like 10 different ways.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
We're gonna make a t-shirt, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, whatever, we're gonna do everything. Yeah. But to a lot of people, like they don't understand.
I understand that now. I'm okay with that. But I used to be not okay with that. I was like, hey, don't you understand? And I started convincing people. And now I have like a sense. I don't care about convincing people anymore. Convincing is already too late. It's wrong. You should step out of the conversation immediately. Mayday.
Yeah, like
if you start convincing, it's done.
The moment I have to start telling someone like, yo, just let it go, like just it's fine. Yeah. Like for me, I'm so focused on like my next move and my next thing, and not in a like obsessed way. Just no. Oh, I want to push the
possibilities.
Limit. I want to push the boundaries, the limits, and see what happens. I don't have time to go online and comment on other people's profiles and tell them, oh, this is shit, or this is
I'm laughing
this.
Because I find it sad. A lot of people do that, but I feel bad for them, because you have to be in a very bad spot to send something bad to someone that you don't know through social media, typing that thing in while laying down in bed or working. So that's just nuts. But anyway, I wish them the best, and I don't want to spend another second on that. I'm not getting that much hate, by the way, not at all. What did you want to say? Sorry.
So I don't get that much hate, because I feel like my own platforms, I've tried to create a very safe space, and I've tried to just keep it, how I want. At the beginning, I never used to respond to certain people if they were a bit hateful. Now I don't care, because I'm like, I don't have to uphold a certain image anymore. Like, this is me. This is me. Like, if you don't like it, you like it. You don't like it. But if you go too far, I will like.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
I'll let everyone
know. I'll block you.
I'll let everyone know.
Story. This asshole. Sorry.
Everyone gonna know. But yeah, I think the point I was trying to make was that like. I forgot.
Oh, don't worry. I have this. I'm quite good at it today, because usually I forgot. I want to tell 12 things and I forget 11. But today is going quite well. Maybe it's like the leader of... Hey, there you go.
I think this is kind of important, because I feel like there's going to be people out there who are going to ask, like, what is it like working with brands? What is it like, all this stuff. So I've had like the opportunity to work with like so many different brands, like so many. But I feel like the things that I learned from Adidas, for example, and I learned from other brands, was that like if the deal doesn't sound right, bye. Like there's points where I've literally, because there was no contract signed, and I knew like they were being lazy to send it, so I was like, but I've pulled out of things like 2 days before. And the thing is, they try it.
Because it didn't feel good. Because it wasn't your thing. They tell you,
like, for example, if the money's not right, because it's not about the money, but if the money is definitely not right, there's situations where I've been where, like, my manager has come to me and she said, like, they're not budging on the price. But then they've added, like, 5 different things from the initial conversation, and it's the same bloody price. And they kind of like do this thing where they're like, okay, well, if you don't want to, the budget's not going to change. If you don't want to do it, it's cool. Like, and they think that I'm going to be like, oh no,
please. No.
So there's literally, and I've just told my manager, just go back and say no. and then it's funny because within half an hour, like
they
price
come
just
back
goes
with
up,
a high.
up,
Yeah.
up.
It's crazy.
And I'm the kind of person who, like,
Yeah.
as soon as I've said no, like, for example, let's say it's like 3,000 euros
Yeah.
you're getting, right? I already have decided that I don't care about the 3,000
Yeah.
euro that could have been in my bank on
Yeah.
Tuesday,
No,
for
yeah.
example. Yeah. So now you need to go like
Way up,
high.
at least a zero. At least a zero. At least
Right.
1 0. We only talk zeros these days.
So like you either have to do that or you have to somehow convince me.
Yeah.
Because
it has to make
yeah,
bigger
it has
sense,
to make
deeper,
sense.
deeper sense.
Otherwise, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that I've done that, and they come back with a price, and I'm just like no, and then they go back again, and I'm like no. And
Yeah,
then,
they try.
And then
They know how to negotiate.
and then they realize they're gonna lose so much more.
Yeah.
Like I've done campaigns where I've written the poem for the thing, so if I leave, the poem comes with me. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You're not getting my
Of course.
poem.
No, of course. Come on.
So I know now, like, which I didn't know, like, maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago, what I bring to the table is what I bring to the table. And no one else can do that.
This is the thing I'm seeing more and more. Not for the brands. For me, Flower Factory is making 10 million a year 3 years from now. I need creatives. They have the ideas. I'm out of ideas. The creatives, the people out there have the ideas. I have to pay for it. It's the same. At some point you figure out they need you more than you need them. But in the beginning you're looking for acceptance and credibility. So you're like, hey, I'm sponsored by this and that. And then eventually you're like, wow, they're making like a gazillion off of this, you know? Like, what was this amount?
Yeah.
But like, you needed that. You have to start somewhere, right? You cannot go to the gym and you press 120 kilos. You start with 5 kilos. But then at some point you're like, wow, I didn't know this game works like this. If I say no because I don't want it, I really don't want it, and there is nothing in for me, they go up.
Yeah. And the point isn't to always come in and be like, no.
No,
It's
it's
like
not about
you
that.
genuinely
No,
feel like
no,
you got to, like, they don't value.
You understand the business. You
Yeah.
understand the conversation. It's a game. It's a game. They're not paying Pogba that amount that they're paying you. Why? There is a reason. There is a business behind that. For example, in this case.
But he's a professional footballer, but because I wasn't really talking about Adidas in this situation. I was talking about like.
No. I'm not talking about Adidas. I'm talking about like companies, even like Flower Factory as a company. Like I have to pay someone like for the ideas later. Of course, I don't have ideas. I cannot do everything myself here. Like I'm trying, but it's not going to work.
But it gets to the thing, because there's a fine line, right?
Yep.
There's a fine line between someone is arrogant and someone knows their worth.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm building more and more on this is my worth, like.
And this is what I always thought when I said no, that people would not like me because I thought I was something. But it was really like, no, like I really know my worth. And I've figured out this very well over the past years because I've been doing a lot of crazy things. And I'm like, oh, my ideas are worth money, like money, attention, whatever, story time, whatever, few time. Like, okay, I'm going to build on that and I'm going to show it. And now I have to show it in practice, right? Like put my money where my mouth is. To talk about the poetry, what are you working on right now? Is there something you're working on or you want to share with us?
There's one that I just worked on.
the one you just...
the one I just posted.
Yeah.
The one about my I think I read it to you and Sahar.
Would you like to do that one here, or you're like, it has to be a better setting?
I think they can go on my thing and check it out.
Yeah, 100%.
But for me there was that, but now I'm like thinking, I had a really interesting conversation with Lorenzo, like I think it was like 2 days ago, and the idea of like I want to continue from that poem. Nice. And I feel like, do you know what, every kind of season I have like a set of poems that are all related but from different angles.
Nice.
And so this first poem was obviously about my mom and her migrating or like leaving Sudan and how she always, you know, she longs for her family and stuff. Yeah. But now
you're in Maastricht.
Yeah. And now I'm like also thinking, what would it look like if I write a poem from the same topic but from my dad's
different perspective.
Point of view.
Oh wow. Yeah,
but
cool.
Like looking at, because he gave up more, not as in as in education-wise, he had a bigger career, like in relation to like he was an eye doctor.
Yeah.
He gave up more.
Yeah.
My mom was a teacher. She continued teaching here.
Yeah.
So it's not to compare, but
He
it's
started
to say,
on the bottom here again in the UK. He or did he go into?
He went to the UK. He actually did a master's, and then eventually like stuff happened, and he ended up having to work normal jobs.
Yeah.
You know,
Crazy.
and I'm really interested in this thing of like, who are these men and also women, because I want women to be able to relate, who leave their countries, lose everything.
Imagine, I know this because I'm again with my goosebumps out here. Like my dad was 19, and when he graduated, he was so good at poetry that he taught his professor. This is how deep he was into Iranian poetry. And then he comes here, he works at McDonald's.
Wow.
Like that crazy. Our fridge, when you opened it, for me, it was heaven because I had McChicken here and I had, I don't know, Big Macs. Like my fridge was full
Little
of cold.
Mac.
I had a McDonald's. McDonald's had another venue like in our village. But like imagine, like I know exactly what you mean. Crazy. And Persian poetry is Persian poems are like one of the biggest poets, are one of the biggest poets in the world. And he knows like almost all these books. You cannot imagine how many poems there are. Like he knows them by heart. Like, and some of them are like 100 pages. Like it's that crazy. And then you work at this kebab place or whatever, and people look at you and like, the stupid foreigner. He cannot even talk Dutch. I was something there. I gave everything up for like. That's why I find like parents of immigrants are heroes.
Yeah.
Like I cannot even imagine now with internet moving to Tasmania, because I don't know how it looks like. Migrate there, immigrate there. I don't have my corner store where I grab a pizza slice or a coffee. Not even friends and family. I mean, everybody understand that. But like the little things, like I cannot walk past that tree and I'm going there with internet. I couldn't do it. Imagine without internet, you're just packing suitcases. What is the weather going to be? I don't know. Like, okay, we pack for 4 seasons, but in just one case, and you go with these kids to the other side of the world, and you had your things quite okay there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're crazy. That's heroic. Cool. What is the next thing you're working on? Very cliche question.
So I started a series already that was kind of like a Zoom podcast style thing. And it's called Beyond PE. And now I kind of like want to expand that to...
What is PE, sorry?
Physical education.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a British thing.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Whatever I don't know, I try to ask.
Yeah, so... sorry, I needed to wrap.
No, no.
I was like, that's not very feminine. Let's put it inside. Come inside. Here's the water from earlier. But, so yeah, for me, I want to expand that. Like, I want to do certain styles of videos that like reflect on who I am as a person, but introduces other people, like other athletes, other girls, to the rest of the world.
Nice.
But I want to do it in a completely like unexpected way.
Filming yourself, sharing the story, or different?
So it would be a combination.
Okay.
It's basically a vlog, but it's not going to be your typical.
You're going to vlog?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna vlog. I'm gonna vlog.
I saw something this morning.
Yeah, I was just playing yesterday because I was like, I'm trying to get comfortable with sitting in front of the camera when no one else is there.
Yeah. I get this. I did already 100. I didn't do shit. We did 155 vlogs, and now it's like I don't care about cameras. But back in the days, if I would make a story, I was like, what? This is weird. You hear yourself, like you see yourself is weird. Anyway. I guess that's it. I talk a lot. I really talk a lot. For how long did we talk, guys? Like, I don't know, like 1 hour?
54 minutes.
Oh, wow, okay. I thank you very, 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 very much for your time. And you, without hearing her, how do you say that? Reading out a poem, you can already hear that she's a good poet because you're well-spoken. You made this for me. You made this quite easy for me because I ask a question and you can you can elaborate quite good, like for a couple of minutes on a topic. And I was really going with you through that neighborhood where you lived, and I think in Bradford.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was like a movie. Like, yeah, that was really nice. So you made it really easy for me. Thank you very much, because this is my second podcast that we are filming here. And I want to thank everyone for watching or listening. And yeah, I don't know, how do you end the podcast? Like, that's it, huh, I guess. What do? We just say
Bye.
thank you very much. Bye bye. And yeah, we're going to eat something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good day.